Don't update your PS5 just yet. Beta codes are going out for the new PS5 update, but you might just want to wait for the full release. PlayStation and LEGO are officially teaming up. Cyberpunk 2077 just got a huge update, and is Sony remaking one of its best games? Let's find out in today's episode of PlayStation News. I've been a huge fan of LEGO for a few years now. I had a bunch of sets when I was a kid and I used to love building them, but when I got out of college, for some reason when they started re-releasing all the old Star Wars sets and they had new ones like Poe Dameron's X-Wing, it just reactivated this LEGO buying addiction in me, and I have so many Star Wars ships now. But the cool thing LEGO's been doing lately, like in 2021 and 2022, is coming up with these collectors type sets that are definitely geared more towards adults than kids. I think it started around the time where they released the Stranger Things Upside Down set, where it was like they showed it off on The Verge in a really cool video, and that set was awesome. It's basically Will Byers' house and then the upside down version of it, and you can flip it 180 degrees and you have both versions of the house. A super fun set to build. And on top of that, I have stuff like the Ultimate Collect 1, the Cantina. I just got the Ultimate Collectors Series Millennium Falcon. So I've got a ton of LEGO sets, but now it seems like I'm gonna be buying a whole lot more because LEGO is teaming up with PlayStation for an official Horizon Forbidden West LEGO set. And this is definitely one of those sets that's geared more towards adults because it's a Tallneck from Horizon, which is sweet because out of all the monster designs in that game, the Tallneck is the coolest part, at least in the first game. And when you look at this set, it's immediately clear that this is one of those collector sets that's geared more towards adult kids. I mean, Horizon itself is more geared towards adults than kids, so it really makes sense. This set is of a Tallneck, it's got a lot of foliage, it's got a ton of detail, and if you're gonna make a set of Horizon, I feel like the Tallneck's what you go with because that's like the coolest big open world moment in that game. When you climb the first Tallneck and you jam her like staff into its head and it like spreads out the entire map and you get the camera panning and then you get to see her grapple animation, which is super sweet. All of that is like stuck in my brain from the first time I played Horizon. So that's a great moment to make a set out of. And these collector sets usually are a little more expensive, which is kind of a bummer, but I'm definitely gonna be buying this. There's two sets actually that I'm gonna be buying. This one, and then there's the T-Rex attack set from Jurassic Park they just announced, which also has this great little black display base. I think it's cool that LEGO's getting into the video game world with this stuff. I know they had Overwatch sets and they're not making those anymore, especially for Overwatch 2 after the whole Activision stuff, but if Sony is really gonna keep partnering with them, I would love to see a Ghost of Tsushima LEGO set, a Bloodborne LEGO set, like keep them in the Ultimate Collectors or at least Collector's Edition line where you can put them on your desk and they look really nice. That's all I'm asking. So after over a year of waiting, the next gen upgrade for Cyberpunk 2077 is finally here. It was surprise dropped today after a live stream CD Projekt did, and despite what people were thinking, which was that they were gonna surprise drop it out of nowhere so that people wouldn't have an opportunity to go pay 10 bucks for the PS4 version and then upgrade it for free to the PS5 version, they actually immediately put the game on sale, and then also for a limited time, you can just download it and play the first 5 hours. Now that's a really smart move on their part because if you haven't played the game, the first 5 hours are incredible. It's where you're teaming up with your friend Jackie, it really sets story, really enters you into the world, and it's the most story-driven linear part of the game, and it's directed really well. So I know what they're doing there, but I played Cyberpunk when it came out. I really enjoyed it. I had a PC that could run it. That's where I played most of it, and it just had a few small things I wanted tweaked, and not only have they tweaked all of that in this update, they've tweaked a whole lot more. You can finally change the way V looks. They updated the AI with crowds. They improved the driving and made it so every motorcycle you can toggle on and off light up wheels to look more cyberpunky. They've added in new weapons. They changed up the gigs for all the different fixers. Like the list goes on and on of all the stuff that they stacked and stacked and stacked that they changed in this update. The one thing that's missing that I'm kind of disappointed about is New Game Plus. I wanted to play a new version of the game with all of my stuff that I had at the end of my first playthrough, but they've changed so much here that I feel like I'm just gonna start over and play from scratch because so much is different. I think it's gonna feel like an entirely different game. On the PS5 specifically, they added in 2 different modes, a 60 FPS mode and a ray tracing mode that runs at 30 frames per second. John Linneman over at Digital Foundry said even though the ray tracing looks good, he recommends playing at the 60 FPS mode because at 30 FPS the game feels heavy, and that makes sense because it's a first-person shooter at heart. You kind of want to play something like that at 60, so I would also probably recommend doing that. And the other exclusive upgrade the PS5 version is getting getting is haptic feedback and adaptive trigger support, which is a cool extra step that CD Projekt Red didn't have to take that they did. You know, they fixed a ton of bugs here, they added in some content, and they did some genuinely cool stuff with the PS5. I really hope this is the beginning of the redemption arc for CD Projekt Red, because it seems like Cyberpunk actually has a ton of fans who have been keeping the game alive, and this seems like the time where all these people who were able to buy the PS4 version for $5 are gonna cash in and get their free upgrade to the PS5 version and really enjoy this game. I know this month is so busy with stuff like Horizon Forbidden West, Dying Light 2 just came out, and there's a million other games like Elden Ring coming out, but man, I think I'm just gonna go in and play Cyberpunk. I just have that urge, that like excitement to see this game how it was meant to be when it came out way too early. They gotta stop releasing games early. Dying Light 2, huge example of a game that came out early. There's a huge bug on the PS5 where people are getting caught in a death loop, not the game death loop, a death loop where they die, and then when they respawn, it says they're outside the mission area, and then the timer counts down, and then they die, and you can't escape it. It's just like a bug. So yeah, if you really want to learn a lesson from Cyberpunk and Dying Light 2, delay your games more to make sure they're finished. Stop releasing games at 80% done, and this stuff won't tank your reputation. That's a PS-ready tip from Jim. One of the weirdest and most interesting game dev trajectories of all time for me personally is just keeping track of the whole situation with Supermassive Games. I first heard about these guys when Until Dawn was announced as a PS3 PlayStation Move game and then entirely disappeared, and then when the PS4 came out, it popped back up, looked amazing, and came out and only cost $40, and it was really good. After that, it seemed like a slam dunk for Sony to just buy Supermassive, but they didn't. They kept them as a second party studio where they had them work on PSVR games like Until Dawn Rush of Blood, and then Supermassive went off on their own and made the Dark Pictures anthology with Namco. I played all those games. They're not as good as Until Dawn, but they're like almost there. The best one was the most recent one, House of Ashes. It's more action horror than the other ones were, and it's just a ton of fun. Like Ashley Tisdale is in it. I'm a 90s kid. High School Musical was huge when I was growing up. I didn't watch it, but yeah, I was aware of Ashley Tisdale, so seeing her in a Supermassive horror game was kind of cool. But then we heard that even though Supermassive is working on a ton of games for Namco, they're also working on even more games for Sony. That makes sense because the PSVR 2 is coming out. I could see some of those games being PSVR 2 games because that's what they worked on for Sony before. But one of the cooler rumors that just came out from a verified insider is that they're actually remaking Until Dawn for the PS5. That's going to be crazy because that game actually looked really good on PS4. It still had a video game look to it. Like they didn't bring it close enough to the uncanny valley for it to feel weird. It was like just right, but I feel like with the technology in the PS5, they can make it look really good, especially if they're remaking it versus just upscaling it like so many other games do. Like if they can get it on par or better looking than Detroit Become Human, I think this is going to be a really cool way to re-experience this game. I'm curious if it's going to be a free upgrade or if it's going to count towards that $10 upgrade to the PS5 version that they're doing with every game after Horizon Forbidden West, or if they're just going to call this like a $70 brand new game because it seems like it's going to be a remake. Either way, I don't know. I hope it's real and I'm excited to play this because I've only played it a couple times. I played it when it came out, and then the next year around Halloween, I played it again, and I've just been kind of itching to play it because it's a really cool winter horror game. The interesting thing here is that Jim Ryan said Sony is going to buy even more studios. I could definitely see Supermassive being one of those studios. I'm sure they'd let them ride out their contractual obligations with Namco Bandai on the Dark Pictures anthology, and then after that, whatever they make would be PlayStation exclusive. I mean, I hope they buy Supermassive. Supermassive feels like they deserve to be a first-party team for PlayStation. So we've been talking about this new firmware update for the PS5 for a few videos now and how kind of disappointing it is from a feature standpoint. Sony knows what we all want. They know we want folders, they know we want themes, they know we want 1440p support on the PlayStation 5, and they turn around and give us an update where they add in PlayStation's version of Siri. Not exactly what people were looking forward to, especially since that was a feature on the PS4 as well. The beta is out there, it's installed on a bunch of people's PS5s. People seem to be really enjoying it, even though it's feature light, but there's an interesting scam that's been related to it that you should definitely look out for. This actually happened the last time they sent out beta codes for a PlayStation 5 update, but basically what it is it's a scam email where they say, hey, we're doing beta tests on the actual PS5, and we've noticed that you've logged into the PSN with this email before. Check out this PDF we're sending you and give us all this information and send it back, and then we'll let you know if you've made it into the beta program, and if you did, we'll send you a PS5. Now, obviously, most people wouldn't click on this because it really is a too good to be true situation, and sending out a beta for the PS5 when the PS5 came out in November of 2020, probably not gonna trick too many people, but the timing is just weird enough where I felt like it was worth bringing up because it looks like an official email when it shows up in your inbox, because Sony's beta emails are traditionally like very light. It's like a white screen with the beta code and like some agreement stuff you have to look at. That's pretty much it. And so that's an easy thing to copy and make your own scam like this. Honestly, I feel like they could get more info if they just made it look like the beta update instead of a beta for the PlayStation 5 console. And the way it's written, they're like, we really haven't heard any feedback on the PS5, so we want to beta test it with our most valuable users or something like that. Like, it just looks extremely fake. But every time something like this happens, you hear about the one guy who clicked on it and got all of his information stolen, and then he's got like 500 credit cards in his name. They bought a house under his name, they bought a car, and everything is going wrong in that person's life. So I wanted to get this PSA out there for you guys. If you get an email about joining the PS5 beta program and anyone really offers to send you a free PS5, don't sign up for it. It's not real, it's too good to be true. That's a PSReady tip from Jim. Check out the last video where we talked about the toggle trick, because that seems to be the way that people are really being able to get PS5s on their first try. Anyway, guys, that's all the PlayStation news I have for today. So make sure you let me know what you think down in the comments below. And remember to subscribe and set your notifications to all if you haven't already. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.